Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Juli Bohmer. She is a children's book author. She has two holiday books available on Amazon right now. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome to the show, Julie. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people will benefit from what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about the world of children's books. You have got two books, third is in the making. So we'll talk about that. First, to understand from you, Julie, about the world of children's books. How did you get into this world of, children's books? So that for the understanding of the audience, they understand how this journey was for you.
Sure. Well, I've always had a joy and a love for writing. And years ago, I was a nanny to my nephew, which is really when I got into children's books and attended a children's writing conference over in Temecula, California. I enjoyed the art of it. However, I had a career and didn't really have time to embrace it. So here I am a couple decades later with two children of my own. And for the past 8 years, we've read bedtime story after bedtime story. We've run out of stories, so I started making up my own. Well, it turned out my children loved my stories, so I decided to pursue publishing and share them with all children, thinking if my kids like them, maybe all kids their age will like them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So why write books when you can buy books easily? Why to get into all this trouble? Help us understand this part, so that the audience understand the real reason of your writing the books.
Sure. Well, I started to pick up on the likes and dislikes in books with my children. I noticed what kept them engaged, what they enjoyed. And what I really picked up on in their younger years, that preschool, kind of like that 2 to 5 age group, was they really enjoyed rhymes. They enjoyed counting. They enjoyed trying to find pictures on pages. So the first two books I created, which are on Amazon right now, are called 10 Little Pumpkins Hide and Seek and Santa's Reindeer Hide and Seek. So in 10 Little Pumpkins Hide and Seek, it's a rhyming book where some pumpkins are hiding on the farm and the children have to help the farmer find the pumpkins. So it's a counting book where they can practice counting 1 through 10. They see the number of how the word is spelled. They practice counting out loud, and then they get to play hide and seek and find the pumpkins. I showed the books to my own children, so they were able to help with the colors, choose the hiding spots, really, excuse me one moment. Can you please take the dogs downstairs? They really gauged it towards their own likes. So that's how the first two books came about. I have another book coming out with a company called Pegasus Publishing or Nightingale Books out of the United Kingdom. That will be on the market by February. And in that book, my oldest child's homework assignment really inspired that one. He came home with a drawing of a forest, and he made a comment that said the forest was creepy and smelled like dead fish. I thought, that's strange. And that night at bedtime, I made up a story about the strange thing forest. So before everybody, I hope you look forward to seeing that one coming out in the next couple of months here as well. And that should be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Pegasus Publishers, really worldwide in any language. And that's more for the 4 to 8 readers. It's an adventure in reading, not just learning, counting, rhyming. It's more of a suspense story with a comforting ending.
Right, Jude. I want to understand, what is the process through which a lot of people tell good stories to their children. They want to all get, but it is either a mental block or if they perceive that it is a very difficult process. What is your understanding? What process did you follow for writing your two books, and third is in the making? So help us understand so that people who want to learn about this thing, they can also learn from it.
Sure. Well, first, I would encourage anyone, if you have a child to read to, whether it's your own child, the niece, the nephew, kids in school, if you're a teacher, pay attention to what the kids like. And you really want to write to what the kids write. If you look at how to write a book or what to write, you can go on a particular publisher's website and they're going to tell you what they're looking for. But what they're looking for to publish might get a book published, but it may not be your style of writing. It may not be what the children like. So from my experience, I write for the kids and what the kids write. Once you figure out what they like, try to write a book you think they're going to like and then read it to them. With my own kids, after I perfect the story, I read it to them and I ask them, what did you like about the story? What didn't you like about the story? What could be better? So I'm literally asking my audience, what do you like about this? So if you have a child in your life to bounce ideas off of, or at least give you feedback, I would recommend doing so. I will warn you, kids are brutally honest and they will tell you if they don't like it. So if your feelings get hurt, be prepared for that. I don't really feel that way. I'm like pretty open about, I understand, I have an adult brain. I'm speaking to a child's brain. My adult brain does not think like a child's brain anymore. So I need to know what the child wants. So I would recommend taking the criticism with a grain of salt. Don't get offended by it. Kids are brutally honest. They will tell you about colors, dialogue, characters, and the more specific your question, the better the feedback you're going to get. If you ask them, a yes or no question, did you like the book? Yes, no, kind of. That doesn't really give you any feedback. So I'd really get specific and ask, what did you like most about this book? What was the most boring part about this book? How could I make that part better? And just listen to the child and then incorporate their feedback into your story and try again.
Right,
So,
right.
that
Yeah,
I would say is,
carry on, carry on.
I would say at least is how the manuscript comes together, the words. For me, the words really flow quite easily. That's the easy part for me. The challenging part is getting it published and deciding which venue to publish. And I can get into that in just a moment here. Do you want to talk about any other manuscript or writing parts of the process before I get into the publishing part?
Right, right. Yeah, publishing part, obviously, because a lot of that is a very difficult thing for a lot of people. And also, many a times when you are writing for the kids. And many a
Mm-hmm.
times when you are reaching out to the publisher, then it is writing also for the market. So how do you balance both the parts? Who tells you? Is it the publisher, their representative tell you, or you have to figure it out at the same time? Because if you start writing for the market from the very beginning, then the writing for the children part gets lost somewhere. How did you work it out so that people also get to understand this part?
Kind of. And what I mean by that is, I think when you start writing, you need to ask, why am I writing? Am I writing to create a great book for kids? Or am I writing to get into the market and turn this into a career and make money? For me, I have a career and I'm not writing for the money per se. I'm writing to bring joy to my kids and to bring stories to all children everywhere. And to get published on top of that is just a bonus for me. So for me, I don't look at what publishers want when I'm writing. I specifically write towards my kids. I don't even know what publishers are looking for. I just let it flow authentically from the heart, put a story out there that, my own children are going to enjoy. And when they really love a story, that's when I'll pursue publishing that story. From there, I take the step to find the publishing company that's the best match for me. I do not have an agent. I'm not represented. So what you'll learn about a lot of the big name companies like Scholastic, for example, they will not even read an author's manuscript unless you are represented by a literary agent. I don't have an agent, so that eliminates many publishing companies for me immediately, because they won't read my manuscript if it's not being submitted by an agent representing me. So my process is literally to Google publishing companies accepting unsolicited manuscripts of children's books. And then you're going to get a whole list of companies that come up on Google. And this is where the time-consuming hard part comes in. Then you need to research every company that's accepting the unsolicited manuscripts and find out what they're looking for. Some will specifically say, we're not accepting picture books. Some will specifically say, we're only accepting books on these particular topics. Some will say submissions are only allowed during these 2 times of the year where submissions are closed. So you really need to research and keep searching and searching until you find companies that are looking for what you wrote. For me, I probably came across maybe 15 companies or so that I thought could be a good fit. So I submit my manuscripts to about 15 different companies. 2 of them came back with an offer to publish my book. So I've also submitted 2 literary agents for representation. But the hard part is when you're entering the market and you're not already an author and you don't have any books, you don't have any sales, you don't have an audience for this, a lot of agents and literary companies are hesitant to take on new authors for that reason. So what I've done is I've self-published a couple of books and I've gone through a publishing company in hopes to get my work out there, get noticed, let adults see that children really do love my work, and hopefully open up new opportunities and more doors moving forward. I would love to get into the market more with, larger publications, even consider an agent. However, it's a passion of mine. It's a hobby of mine. My kids love it. I love it. So I'll continue to do it. Whether I make $1 or $1,000 or $1,000,000, the money isn't the important part for me. It's just really enjoying what I'm doing.
Right, right, Julie. Now
Yeah.
let me understand what exactly the children want. Because they are also growing up, and their understanding of the world is also widening. Now they have many choices. It's not just the bedtime stories or the books that their parents bring. Nowadays they have a lot of access to the phone, and phone
Yes.
has so much of color and different things that they are exposed to. They have not only the phone, they also have access to gaming. They have
Mhm.
also, nowadays, artificial intelligence has brought in so many artificial colors also. And they get so
Absolutely.
many times the real world may not sound or look that colorful, but the artificial ones may look, much more attractive, much more enticing. How do you balance at this point in time as a writer to get the children to the real world of books and not to those artificial things? How do you do that? What is it that they do you more understand about the way they are looking at all these things?
Well, yes, I have 2 kids who would love to watch YouTube shorts and TikTok and everything else that I don't care for as an adult. So it is a constant battle. The struggle is real in parenting and everything. So it's really up to the adults in the family, the parents, the teachers, the caregivers, to monitor that and determine, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. So, at home personally with my own children, at bedtime, we don't read ebooks. We don't do anything on technology. Technology gets turned off and we read paper books. And if they want a story, that's the only option. So that's a routine we're in. That's what my children are used to. Going back to the 10 Little Pumpkins hide and seek and Santa's reindeer hide and seek, it's really great for young kids. Even older kids will read it once. And once it's going to be it for older kids. They know how to count. The hiding spaces or, hiding places are fairly easy for them to find. So it's really geared towards younger minds learning. The book I created for the older kids, the 4 to 8-year-old group, The Strange Thing Forest, when I was creating that book, I literally thought, how can I, as I was creating it impromptu, verbally, on the spot, in the dark, as a bedtime story, after we read our books, I thought, how can I make this story so engaging that my kids want to keep listening? And how can I keep them guessing about what's going to happen next? It needs to be completely unpredictable. And my kids get kind of scared of scary stories, so I never like creepy or scary stories. So I made the story very unpredictable and suspenseful with kid-friendly, strange, and then wrapped it up to give them like Oh, that's a relief. Like, what a great ending. I can relax and go to sleep safe, knowing that everything's okay. So, to put all of that together in one, um, it just really made me look at my own children. What do they like? What's comforting to them? How can I keep them engaged without making the story predictable? So that's really what the next story is coming out. And it's very unique to any other stories that are out there. And I think any child who reads The Strange Thing Forest when it debuts is going to be engaged in the story and going to be happy with the ending. And it won't remind them of anything else they've ever read before. So I'm really looking forward to that one coming out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, do you think as a writer, as a mother, the children's book has still a long shelf life in terms that this requirement will always be there, or do you think that this all these texts and everything, gaming and all these things will someday snatch the books out of their hands and take children fully into their clutches?
I think books are, I hope they always exist, but whether the physical paper book exists or not, stories will always exist. And how do children get access to stories? Maybe it's only technology. Maybe it's only a paper copy of a book. Maybe it's only a verbal story. There's many ways to access stories. And whether books exist or not, I think it's important to keep creating and keep engaging children. And as a mother, I want my children to learn and enjoy stories too. I don't just want loud, trendy, flashy, influencing. I don't want that coming at them all the time. I want to create what's something that all children are always going to use throughout the duration of their life. So, learning to count to 10, hide and seek, those are kind of timeless classics, regardless of what generation you're from. Kids learn to count. Kids like to play hide and seek. It's not ever going to run out. As far as the next story, some of the kid-friendly spoiler alerts that are in the story will have to do with bubble gum and ice cream cones. Again, timeless flavors that kids of all generations have enjoyed. So I'm really trying to create something that's useful, engaging, timeless, and comforting, that both kids and parents will approve of, and even educators.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is much to learn about children's books. There is much to learn about their mind as the world is changing. But those people who would like to connect with you to learn more about your books, your upcoming book, what is the best way for them to do so?
I would say check me out on Instagram. It's Juli Bohmer Books. You'll find me on Instagram. I'm posting content just about daily. I post a lot about my books. I have a couple of puppies, so you'll see them as well. Occasionally, my kids will join me, and I'll keep everybody updated that way. I'm also working on a website now that isn't quite live, but that will be kind of a landing site for all of my work in one place. If you find my books on Amazon, you can follow me as an author on Amazon as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining
Thank
us.
you. Take care. Happy